Welcome everyone, I'm Steve Savant, host of the Business Insurance Zone, and today with me is Peggy Mace from Outlook Life, one of the most premier providers of life insurance direct to the public. Welcome to our interview today, Peggy.
Thank you, Steve.
Peggy, I got to tell you, when I'm all over the internet, I'm looking at one thing that I see coming up on Google all the time, and it's this phrase, affordable life insurance. And I don't want to get esoteric or anything, but what is affordable life insurance?
Really, what a question. That's a great question. Yeah, affordable to some people means it's the rock bottom price, and they don't even know what the prices are that you can compare it to. There's actually hundreds of life insurance companies. And so one person, if they are maybe visiting their local life insurance agent and find that his rates seem kind of high, they may not realize that there actually are hundreds of life insurance companies that have lower rates. But again, affordable doesn't necessarily always mean rock bottom. It can mean that it's the best kind of insurance for you. For example, a person might think that taking a 10-year term policy is most affordable because the price is the lowest. But when you lock in the rate for 30 years, even though it's longer, in the long run, that can be more affordable because you don't have to keep renewing it every 10 years and paying higher rates. The other thing about that is in 10 years, you may have a health condition that makes you unable to get life insurance at all. So it's kind of a relative term.
It is, and when I think of affordable, I'm thinking the uber wealthy in the United States. They're just going to get the coverage, they can afford to write the check.
Right.
But sometimes our health dictates what's really affordable. Talk a little bit about health conditions as it relates to affordability.
Good point. Yes, health conditions and even other things like your parents' health condition enters into affordable.
Why do you think family history is such a big deal on affordability?
Well, you know, heart disease, they say genetics are sometimes just as enter into having heart disease as lifestyle or whatever, so it can be a factor. So
if the family has a disposition towards, as you said, cardio events, they're just going to say you probably inherited that propensity.
And they only go by under age 60 or 65. You know, a lot of people have heart conditions when they're older, but that younger heart disease onset is what they're looking at.
Well, I've noticed the issue of affordability though, Peg. I've seen like, well, people now, we have to take, in general terms, people have to take exams to qualify for this. It's not just history, we're taking exams with it. And I noticed that not only are there so many carriers, as you suggested, the inventory is huge on the internet, but I also see that they've also put different health categories.
Right.
For example, if a person was really in great health, watched their diet, behavior, they didn't have any family history, affordable to them would be really great because they may be classified as super preferred non-smoker, which is really the highest classification right now, or if they really had basic issues, they have maybe a little weight, maybe a little HDL, they might be 1, 2, 3, 4 down at, or 5 down at standard.
Right.
So it matters because your price tag is going to change depending upon the health classification, which is going to be our definition of, is it affordable?
Absolutely. When you see the ads a lot of times on TV for life insurance rates, they're based on that very lowest price, the best rate, exactly.
Best health, lowest price.
Right. So what's affordable for that person isn't necessarily the rate that somebody else is going to get. And different insurance companies do rate things. It actually, the gap gets wider the more health problems you have. When you get to that preferred best rate, there's going to be maybe 20 companies that you're going to find that are within cents of each other of different prices. But then you start getting somebody with type 1 diabetes, oh my goodness, you know, you can find one company charging 3 times what the other company is, and that's when you really can help somebody find an affordable rate even more so.
Well, really, that's the forte of Outlook Life. I mean, you look at all these carriers, and sometimes, as you just mentioned, you're looking to carriers from an affordability point of view by disease. Because there's certain carriers you're not going to a certain carrier because diabetes is not their wheelhouse. That's not where they live in underwriting. So it really is by carrier. So people can't just shop a carrier. That's why they go to Outlook Life, because they can shop all these carriers that have in your inventory. When I think about affordability, we talked about health. We talked about, you brought up the product itself. Term, 10-year, 15, 20, 25, you said 30. I mean, there's 40-year term out there. So depending upon how long do you want it in your health, it also, I noticed, depends upon your age.
Age, right.
Talk a little bit about age, talk a little bit about gender when it comes to affordability.
Okay, yeah. Rates go up a lot when you age. Getting a rate locked in at when you're healthy and young, there's nothing like that. You will never ever regret doing that. But that being said, there's also companies, again, that specialize in life insurance for older people. And the product makes a big difference on that too, because you don't necessarily want to be 60 years old and have a product that's going to carry to age 70, and then at age 70 have to figure out what you're going to do. So the males then always have higher rates than the females.
Because we die earlier.
Yeah.
I also noticed that insurance carriers are now going, this is incredible to think about, age 90.
Yeah.
We issue to age 90, and I keep thinking, how affordable, if you're in your 80s, is life insurance? I mean, how affordable is it?
You know, my husband says this to me sometimes. He goes, Peg, how can they even offer something to a person that age? You know, I'll show him an illustration I have for an 85-year-old, and I'm like, well, that person has good health, and they just expect that they'll live a while. So I think there are two other factors in affordability also I'd like to bring up. One is your need. You know, do you need this to get your kids through college, or do you need this for final expense needs? You know, you're not going to pay the same rate for a policy that you just need for a few years. Again, kind of belaboring that point, but if you want a permanent policy, it's going to cost more, but that still may be the more affordable choice for you if that's your need. And the other thing is your budget. I think that something, if it doesn't fit your budget, it's not a good policy for you. We see, you know, people that almost get suckered into buying something they really can't afford, and then a year later, they no longer have insurance. Well, that policy did them no good at all. So you're better off just getting an affordable policy to start with and keep it, you know.
So if I'm looking at what can I afford, my budget, I'm going to look at my need to see how close I can get to my budget with my need. I'm going to look at, of course, the gender. I'm going to be looking at something that we haven't talked about yet, smoking. I mean, we have smoking issues, and it could be just not cigarette smoking. It could be cigar. It could be chew. It could be pipe. All these enter into the issue of affordable life insurance. I want to kind of go a little deeper here, and we'll touch on this on another interview, but if I really had affordability, you know, I really need it, but I have health issues. There is some carriers that allow simplified underwriting. It may not be the best price tag, but for what you have, your age, your specific health condition, it may be the most affordable you can get.
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about simplified.
Okay. Well, simplified issue insurance is something that normally does not include an exam. Sometimes the carriers will order medical records, sometimes they don't. And so it basically puts you a little bit more into a pool of people that have a range of health conditions. Whereas if you get a policy that does require more medical underwriting, where they really scour your medical records and do the exam, you tend to be in a smaller pool of people with more like health. So in other words, a simplified policy might put all type 2 diabetics together, whereas a policy that's medically underwritten will take diabetics with an A1C under 7 and put those together. So, but that's especially good to have that choice if your health condition isn't as controlled. That can really be a good option for somebody. So.
Well, today I'm with Peggy Mace from Outlook Life. We're talking about what's affordable life insurance. We've given you some of the highlights for it. Don't forget to go out to Outlook Life, and you can go and quote right there on their site, and they'll help you walk through it. There's live people to take your call. Thanks again for being on our interview, Peg.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it.
Thanks.